Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's CDBG office hours. Sorry for the late start. We're just kind of having some technical issues we need to work out. But I think we got it all squared away. Mike Phillips, a Federal Program Specialist. Also on the webinar, we have Amy Early, our CDBG Section Chief. Susan Holt, our CDBG Program Manager. Then we have CD Specialist Felicity Gosser, Tanner Wolverton, and Crystal White. And then we have guest presenters today from RCAC. Jennifer Hazard and Juanita Hallstrom, and they'll present a little bit later in the presentation. We can get through some program updates first, and then I'll pass it off to them. If you're unfamiliar with Zoom, here's how you can ask a question to our team. In your user dashboard, there should be a Q&A chat icon. You can use that to ask questions. We do ask that you use the Q&A as opposed to the chat. You can ask questions anonymously, but we do ask that you leave your name, organization, or the region you're associated with. This just better helps us track follow-up, keep questions grouped together. We'll read questions out loud throughout the presentation and provide answers if possible. And all questions will be saved and recorded as part of the public record. And just as a reminder, we are still celebrating the CDBG 50th anniversary. And thank you to those who have sent project photos. We have gotten a few submissions, and they're really kind of awesome to see kind of what you all are doing out there. If you do have photos that you would like to share, please send them to me, michael.phillips@hcd.ca.gov, and then CC the cdbg@hcd.ca.gov inbox. And if you would like to, we'd love to have you on office hours to present more about your project. So just let me know, and we'll get you scheduled in upcoming office hours. And with that, we'll get into our CDBG program updates. I'll pass it off to, I think, Tanner.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So there's no changes from last office hours, but I'll just repeat this information. For the 2023 CDBG NOFA, the application closed December 29th. We received 7 applications and we conditionally awarded 6. And for the amended 2023 NOFA, the application closed March 15th. We received 12 applications and we notify applicants of the status of their application on March 21st.
Good morning. I will update you on the 2023-2024 Annual Action Plan NOFA Substantial Amendment. We went into detail about it in the last office hours. I wanted to remind you all that the document, the Substantial Amendment, continues to be open for comment, and it's available until May 8th, 2024 at the link provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. So we'll go ahead and pass it off to our guest presenters today. First up, we have Jennifer Hazard, the Assistant Director from RCAC.
Thank you, Mike. I'm a little under the weather today, so a little foggy, but I didn't want to cancel at the last minute, so bear with me. So I just want to provide you with a little bit of background information on RCAC before I jump right into what Felicity had requested I talk about was funding for infrastructure. So that's specifically what I'm going to talk about today. So you can jump to the next slide. RCAC provides services in the 13 Western states, including Alaska and Hawaii. And our technical assistance services include environmental, housing, financing, and we also work in the Pacific Islands. In the next slide, please. And we are part of a broader network called the Rural Community Assistance Partnership, which allows us to provide technical assistance to all the states in the country. Next slide. So we don't just work on environmental infrastructure projects. For instance, one of our programs is to work with drinking water, wastewater, solid waste systems to help them build their leadership training for their boards. So we offer board member training. Next slide. We also offer on-site training. We also have a circuit rider program. And what we mean by that is we have really a great group of really technically trained wastewater operators and drinking water operators that can come out and provide assistance to you in the field. Next slide. And then we're pretty famous for our classroom and online education. We're pretty proud of that. And if you go to our website, there's a long list of available classes and the curriculum. And so it's everything from operator training to board training. And yeah, there's no shortage of drinking water and wastewater and solid waste training available online with RCAC. Next slide. We also offer housing services. In fact, that's how RCAC got their start in 1978, was working with farm workers on their housing needs. So we have development solutions where we can support other nonprofit organizations with affordable housing options. Next slide, please. So today I really wanted to talk about environmental infrastructure financing. So next slide, please. So I work in California. You saw that we're in the 13 Western states. I have a team of 34 people that work specifically in California and specifically on state-funded programs. So we have drinking water for schools, which provides funding to install drinking water fountains for schools, and also point of use or point of entry treatment for schools that are out of compliance with safe drinking water standards. And we have an interim solution while we're working on the long-term solutions to their compliance needs. We can also provide bottled water for schools. We have a generator program where this is a pilot project, and I'm really excited about this one because this is one of the first programs for RCAC where we can work with communities from planning all the way to installation. So we don't need to go out and write a grant application. We already have the funding. So what RCAC does in this program is we hire the engineer, they draw up the plans, we hire an installer, we purchase the generators, and it's about, I want to say 12 to 18 months from start to finish with generator installation. We also have what we call a septic to sewer program. So this is clean water, state revolving funded. We help communities that are still on septic to either consolidate their septic systems into like an on-site management program or connect them with nearby utility. So septic to sewers, also working with small wastewater systems, upgrading their infrastructure as well. But today I really wanted to take just a short deep dive into our safe and affordable funding for equity and resilience. That's what we call our SAFER program. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit about where all the money comes from. I won't get into all of it, but there are a lot of different pots of money that feed into the SAFER program. And then what the SAFER program can fund is interim solutions, emergency drinking water, technical assistance. So technical assistance would be helping small systems with their funding applications, or coming out and doing an income survey, helping bookkeepers learn software. It's the technical assistance is across the board. The SAFER program also offers an option to assign administrators to systems that maybe have a volunteer board and they just don't really want to be in the water business anymore. So the SAFER program can also hook up these small systems with someone to manage the day-to-day operations of the system. Planning, which is what we are in the thick of things right now. There's RCAC is not the only technical assistance provider under the SAFER program. There are multiple technical assistance providers. Some of them are for-profit engineering firms. So if you apply for technical assistance under the SAFER program, you may get RCAC, or you may get another nonprofit, or you may get a professional engineering firm. If you get RCAC, we hire the engineer, and the engineer will come out, put together a preliminary engineering report, do a feasibility study, draft the plans and specifications for the system upgrades. And then at the end of the planning project, RCAC will assist the system in submitting a construction application. Takes about a year to get the construction funding after we submit the application. And then just recently, we've seen a lot of systems getting those construction awards, and now the SAFER program, which is run by the State Water Board Division of Financial Assistance, they're now assigning construction TA. So once systems are awarded their construction funding, they can have a technical assistant provider work with them throughout the construction phase. You're probably wondering who's eligible. It's small systems that serve drinking water to less than 10,000, a population of less than 10,000, with an MHI of 80% of the statewide MHI. And again, we also offer services where we can come out and perform that MHI survey if you don't already have one. And so what kind of projects can be funded? New treatment systems, transmission and distribution lines, upgrading your storage systems, new wells, storage tanks. We also work a lot on consolidation and regionalization projects where we work with small systems who are very closely located geographically to consolidate. And then we also work on, we're just now working with the creation of new systems. So if we have, several homes in a community that are on wells, we can work with that community to form a new system of the private well owners. And again, I already talked about planning and design services and technical assistance. I don't know if I have another slide, Mike. Oh, no, that's just a list of some of the projects that we do fund. And the next slide, please. So how do you get on the list? So there are two main ways to request this type of assistance. One is to go straight to the Division of Financial Assistance website. I did provide a link, and it's a very short one-pager, a problem statement and what the community is looking for. And again, they do have priority projects, so consolidation is always a priority. The very small systems that serve less than 200 connections, and of course, systems that are out of compliance with clean drinking water standards. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. I thought I had a slide with all the links. Maybe that went at the end of loan fund,
Yeah,
but I did.
right. Yeah, I moved that to the end just in case, so we can have
Yeah.
presenting.
So at the end, I did provide links to, I was talking about how do you apply for this technical assistance. You can also go on RCAC's website, and there's a form to fill out to request assistance from RCAC. And the SAFER funding from the Division of Financial Assistance is not the only funding program we have for infrastructure. We also work with the Department of Water Resources. We also have federal funding. So if you go to RCAC's website, we can hook you up with a technical assistance provider that can find the right funding source for your infrastructure needs. So thank you, Mike.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I just posted our slides in the chat. So
Okay,
for all of
great.
our attendees, you can go and get all those links. And so next up we have Juanita from, well, actually I see obviously, but to talk about the loan fund.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share our loan fund history and what the services we provide. As you may know, RCAC is unique in the sense that we run 3 core services, and that's housing, environmental, and the loan fund. Next screen, please. So our mission is just to provide the training, the technical and financial resources and advocacy so our rural communities can achieve goals and visions. Next screen. So we do finance loans in 13 Western states, rural communities only, and that's a population that does not exceed 50,000. Depending on certain programs, that may also be further limited by 10,000. Next screen. So we have a long history. We are designated as a community development financial institution. We're capitalized actually a little much higher than 153 million. That comes from foundations, banks, state, federal agencies, religious institutions, asset management firms. So our lending capital comes from various sources. Next screen, please. So we do many different programs here at RCAC. We do small business financing, environmental infrastructure, affordable housing, community facilities. We also do loan participations with other peers, and we do a relief program. The relief program was out of the necessity to help business owners. At first, we provided PPP loans, but then as that program finished and was no longer available, we decided to reach out to some of our investors, and we raised $1.8 million. And these are designated for business owners that are still struggling from COVID and now pretty much inflation. In that particular program, I like to highlight because if they are continuing to struggle, we will do up to a $25,000 loan. And if in 6 months they still struggle, we will forgive the debt. This also involves our coaching department. Each relief loan that a borrower that has applied for the funding will be required to do coaching. That's just to give them further TA on how they want to manage those funds. One thing that I don't see here is the biomass program. If we could advance to the next screen, I'm just wondering if it was put on the next. Okay, so that's another program that we run. We have 2 particular projects that are being constructed, and we're learning a lot. It's still in the early stages of understanding all the ins and outs of that program. And we hope that at the end of the completion of these 2 projects, which are scheduled to be completed at the end of this year, we will put together a new program that outlines the requirements for eligibility. Another program that I see, it's not on the list, and I apologize for that, is that we work with the state uh, at the State Water Resource Board to provide financing, well, not financing, I'm sorry, grants to families that have wells on their property that have either gone dry or are in need of repair. It's subject to income level requirements, but it's been a very successful program in helping families throughout California repair their failing systems. The loan fund program is just a matrix of information on the pricing for our different types of loans and also the purpose. Again, like affordable housing, we can do pre-development, site development, construction, and typically we fund to nonprofits. Next screen. This is just a list of our staff and who is available for questions. My lead loan production and credit officer is Robert Longman. So if there is a need to, if you have an interested party that wanted to be screened for a potential loan inquiry, this would be the person to contact. But at this point, we have almost 21 staff members. We have a loan administration team. And then we have 2 sets of loan officers. The traditional 4 core programs are handled by loan officers throughout different, they're located in different places, and they each handle a certain territory. And then because we do have some of the consumer products, those are handled by the other loan officers referred to as the consumer loan officer. Next screen. Can we please move to the next screen? Okay. And finally, this is just to give you an overview of our loan fund policies that guide our decision making. Basically, when an application is taken in, the loan officer puts what we refer to as a credit memorandum together, which is reviewed by the credit officer to ensure that our loan fund policies are being followed. And then if that loan exceeds $500,000, we present to our loan committee members every 2 weeks if there are loans to be presented, where a decision is made based on the credit memorandum, and then we move forward with issuing a commitment letter for 6 months. We have 6 months to close the deal, at which point then we move to the closing phase. And because many of our projects are not fully dispersed, we do a lot of construction draws. And all of this is detailed in our loan agreement to the borrower, so they are very clear on how to move forward. Our goal is to get these projects to fruition. And because we do many different programs, it can be kind of complicated sometimes, but we do have a long history and a great track record. So with that, I don't know if there'll be an opportunity for any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Juanita. So here's the slide that Jennifer was referencing earlier with all the links. Again, I posted the slides in the chat, so if anybody in the audience wants to kind of follow up and get more information, I know there's a lot of links being posted in the chat, and also you can go grab the slides. Let's go ahead and get through our Q&A recap from our last office hours, and then we'll take questions at the end. The recap should be pretty quick, so. So yeah, go ahead and get your questions into the Q&A while we're doing the recap for Jennifer and Juanita. And let's go through the recap real quick. Just a question on the 2024 applications for the GA-CNST. Question was, do we submit one CNST for general admin for all grant applications or one for each application? And the answer to this was, at a minimum, we would need one CNST for GA per jurisdiction. You can use one GA CNST for multiple applications for the same jurisdiction. And then we had a follow-up to that question. When the GA CNST need to be done separately in case some applications get awarded and others don't? And the answer to that was, if doing one GA CNST is simpler, grantees could proceed that way. However, if a jurisdiction does one GA CNST for multiple applications where one or more are not funded, the GA CNST is still valid since it covers the portion of the grant that was awarded funds. You can use a not to exceed amount that covers all of your applications. Grantees should upload their combined GA CNST to each application that they submit. This next question was on the unclaimed funds amendments. Question was, for unclaimed funds requests, are we able to make draw requests, or will this impact the amendment process? How long do you believe it will take for amendment approval and authority to expend funds? And the answer to this was, the review and approval for the unclaimed funds requests will occur via email to avoid conflicts with submitting financial reports. When the request has been approved, HCD will create a grantor-initiated amendment during which the grantees will be unable to submit financial reports. We are estimating the timeline for approval for these amendments to be 4 to 6 weeks. The second question was on the 2024 funding limits. Question was, what is the total grant funding limit per jurisdiction? What are the PTA and OTC funding limits? And the answer to this was, the total applications, competitive and OTC, submitted shall not exceed 3 per jurisdiction. Total competitive applications shall not exceed 2 per jurisdiction. And the funding limits are updated as follows. Total grant award for all activities combined per jurisdiction shall not exceed 3.6 million. A competitive planning and public service application limit shall not exceed 300,000, and the OTC project application limit shall not exceed 3.3 million. And OTC program application limit shall not exceed 1.5 million. This next question is on the 2024 consultant procurement timing. The question was, if we are considering coming in for a housing program, including rehabilitation and code enforcement under the 2024 NOFA, do we need to complete procurement for a consultant before application submittal, or can we provide a draft RFP and draft contract with procurement to be completed upon award? The answer to this was, during application, please provide your draft RFP and draft contract. Procurement of the consultants can be done after award. Great. And our last question was on PI expenditure reporting. The question was, when reporting PI expenditures in connection with an open grant, once approved by the rep, will this expenditure also have to be reported in the PI reconciliation award, or is the draw from the grant sufficient? And the answer to this was, PI expenditures that are part of an open CDBG grant do not need to be reported under the PI reconciliation award. I believe that was it. Yep, that was it for our Q&A. So let's get into any live questions that we have. Where's the... Okay, here we go. Let's see. Our first question is from Kelly. Can we get a copy of the slides? I would like to share with some of the organizations in our county looking for funding for their water projects. Thank you. And yeah, Kelly, I put those in the chat. Thanks for your question. Let's see. Our next question is from Paul. For those who submitted for additional CV monies to existing contracts, can you give us general timeline on when those funds will be available?
Hi, Paul. There was a previous slide that answered that question. It said 4 to 6 weeks. It does depend a little bit on the quality of the request and how much back and forth we need to have with you as the grantee before it can route externally to legal, accounts payable, and contracts. The external routing is taking between about 30 to 45 days. So it does kind of depend on how quickly we're able to evaluate with program staff. At the moment, it's myself and one other half-time staff member doing this until ICF comes back on board, hopefully in 2 weeks. So just being transparent about our capacity at the moment, but 4 to 6 weeks should be good. But that all is a bit dependent on what we've received from you and how much back and forth we have to take to get a package that is ready to proceed.
Thank you, Felicity. Let's see, the next question is from William. Can you please remind us what the current timeline and dates for the 2024 CDBG NOFA?
Okay, thank you for your question, William. Just what we are planning is we will be posting the 2024 NOFA at the end of July. So I wouldn't expect it before the end of July. And per usual, 30 days to review, and then the application submission period will open for 60 days beyond that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Susan. Let's see, our next question is from Bridget. Has there been a change to how moderate income has been defined according to CDBG in recent years? In the past, it was 51 to 80% of the AMI, and now it appears to be up to 120% AMI.
Sure, I can take that question too. Thanks for the question, Bridget. So it is still 51 to 80%. The 120 AMI that you're referring to applies to the state only, and I will drop in the chat a link to our website that gives you clarification on that one.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. That looks like all the questions that we have in the queue for now. I'll make sure to send out the slides again with our newsletter this Friday with all of our CAC's links and information as well. So if anybody has any kind of follow-up questions for them later, or wants to seek technical assistance or whatnot, all that information will be there, the newsletter. Okay, great. If there are no other questions for today, we'll go ahead and close out. Just want to say thank you again to Jennifer and Juanita from RCAC. It was a really great presentation. I know I learned a lot. I know a lot of people were pretty excited to listen to this presentation. So thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Yep.
Goodbye.
So we'll go ahead and close out for today, everyone. So have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. We'll see everyone back in 2 weeks, May 1st.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.